Yeah, so welcome and good evening, dear Viking guests. We are happy to have you here at the Meissen Porcelain Museum, actually, and we are quite curious about the live Q&A. So my name is Bianca Herbst. I'm the PR manager of the Meissen Porcelain Manufactory. I'm responsible for the national and international public relation, including corporate communication, and I'm also the spokesperson of the manufactory, and I work for Meissen since 2018. And yeah, I'm happy to be here today with you, the Viking guests, and with my dear colleague Susanne Bochmann.
Yeah, thank you. Also, warm welcome from me and from our beautiful museum. My name is Susanne Bochmann. I'm the curator of the museum. I'm responsible for quite a large collection of around 33,000 beautiful Meissen pieces and around 2,000 you can see here in our permanent collection. But I'm also responsible for the temporary exhibition. Yeah, I'm very excited and very curious about your questions. After we've shown you a brief introductory video about our house, we hope you stay and post a lot of questions, and we will be back here in our beautiful museum and answer your questions. So
we prepared a lovely video for you and hope you enjoy. So see you back in a few minutes.
Liebe Vikingsgäste, herzlich willkommen bei uns in der Porzellanmanufaktur Meissen. Wir sind die erste und damit älteste Porzellanmanufaktur Europas, gegründet von August dem Starken. Wir freuen uns sehr, Sie heute hier bei uns begrüßen zu dürfen und möchten Sie ein bisschen mit hinter die Kulissen nehmen. Also folgen Sie mir. Eines der zahlreichen Highlights bei uns hier in der Manufaktur ist die 1,80 Meter große Saxonia. Sie gilt als die größte freistehende Porzellanplastik der Welt. 2014 von unserem ehemaligen Chefplastiker Jörg Danielczyk geschaffen, ziert das Kleid der Saxonia insgesamt 8000 Schneeballblüten. Später werden wir in der Schauwerkstatt an der Station des Bossierers noch sehen, wie diese per Hand bis heute gefertigt werden. Liebe Vikingsgäste, jetzt sind wir hier an der Schauwerkstatt und möchten Ihnen mit dem Arbeitsplatz des Bossierers kurz einen Einblick geben, was Sie hier in unserer Schauwerkstatt erwartet. Wir sind jetzt hier in der Schauwerkstatt am Arbeitsplatz des Bossierers angekommen. Mein Kollege, Herr Bode, bossiert den Amor, eine Originalfigur von Johann Pollack aus dem Jahr 1880, neu interpretiert als Amor mit T-Shirt und einem Dekormix aus über 300 Jahren Geschichte.
Ich heiße Holger Bode und bin seit 36 Jahren hier in der Manufaktur tätig, habe hier 4 Jahre gelernt und arbeite jetzt in der Schauwerkstatt als Bossierer und zeige Ihnen, wie ich die Figurenteile zusammenfüge zu einer kompletten Figur.
Jede Figur bei Meissen besteht aus zahlreichen, teilweise 100 oder mehr Einzelteilen. Dafür beherbergt unser Formenarchiv mehr als 700.000 Formen. Daraus lassen sich alle unsere Meißner Porzellane immer und immer wieder fertigen. Der Bossierer erhält die aus den Formen gefertigten Einzelteile und seine Aufgabe ist es, diese plastisch herauszuarbeiten, Quetschnähte, die beispielsweise entstanden sind, zu entfernen, aber natürlich auch die Figur aus den verschiedensten Einzelteilen zu einem Ganzen zusammenzusetzen. Dafür ist es wichtig, die Handschrift des Künstlers so gut wie möglich nachzuahmen, so wie dieser Amor Dekorwelten, dessen Originalform von Johann Pollack aus dem Jahr 1880 stammt. Die Arbeit des Bossierers beinhaltet unter anderem auch die Schneeballblüten, die wir vorhin schon bei dem prächtigen Kleid der Saxonia im Eingangsbereich gesehen haben. Die Schneeballblüten stammen ursprünglich von Johann Joachim Kendler aus dem Jahr 1739, der im Auftrag von August III. Die Schneeballblüten entwarf. Ein aufwendiges Service wurde 1739 gefertigt mit diesen zahlreichen Schneeballblüten, die bis heute per Hand gefertigt werden. Nach dem Rundgang bei uns in der Schauwerkstatt laden wir Sie dazu ein, bei uns im Meissen Store zu stöbern, zu entdecken und Ihr eigenes weißes Gold mit nach Hause zu nehmen. Schaffen Sie sich eine eigene Erinnerung an unseren Besuch hier und finden Sie Ihr perfektes Meißner Porzellan. Unser Store in der Manufaktur bietet Ihnen eine große Auswahl an verschiedensten Meißner Porzellan aus über 300 Jahren Geschichte. Ob Tisch und Tafel, Home Deco oder wie hier die Limited Editions und Meisterwerke, bei uns werden Sie auf jeden Fall fündig.
Ja, herzlich willkommen hier im Meissen Porcelain Museum. Mein Name ist Anja Hell, ich bin die Geschäftsführerin der Meissen Porzellan Stiftung, die sich hier mit dem Museum befasst. In diesem Museum sehen Sie wunderschöne Meißner Porzellane und wir haben heute tatsächlich ein ganz besonderes Jubiläum zu feiern, nämlich den Geburtstag von August dem Starken. Am 12. Mai wäre er 350 Jahre alt geworden und er ist der Gründungsvater, wenn Sie so wollen, hier des Museums, aber ganz besonders der Manufaktur, der wir natürlich die wunderschönen Porzellane zu verdanken haben. Hier im Hintergrund sieht man die Tiermenagerie, ein Wunsch August des Starken, der sehr interessiert daran war, seine Manufakturisten zu Höchstleistungen anzutreiben, und er wünschte sich einen Tierzoo. Jeder Fürst hatte eine Tiermenagerie und natürlich brauchte August der Starke einen Porzellanzoo, ganz klar. Und im Ergebnis sehen wir hier eine kleine Auswahl von Porzellantieren. Lebensgroße Porzellanfiguren sind hier entstanden durch Johann Joachim Kendler, der 1731 als Porzellangestalter oder zunächst als Bildhauer nach Meißen kam und sich ganz schnell als Porzellangestalter etablierte. Wir sind jetzt hier im 18. Jahrhundert im Museum. Das Museum gliedert sich in verschiedene Jahrhunderte, verschiedene Bereiche, und wir schauen uns hier gleich ein paar sehr reizende Details von Allegorien an. Das war natürlich ein beliebtes Sujet für die Tisch- und Tafelkultur zu Zeiten August des Starken. Solche Figuren, wie Sie sie gleich sehen werden, standen auf Tafeln, Kaminsimsen oder auf Wandkonsolen an der Wand. Also das war ein unterhaltender Aspekt. Bei großen Festivitäten hat man die Tafeln prächtig geschmückt mit Meißner Porzellan, immer passend zu einem bestimmten Thema. Wir sehen jetzt hier die 4 Sinne allegorisch dargestellt. Johann Friedrich Eberlein, gefertigt im 18. Jahrhundert. Und hier hat man tatsächlich einen ganz wunderbaren Eindruck von den Möglichkeiten, mit dem Porzellan zu arbeiten. Wenn Sie sich das hier anschauen, kriegt man ganz schnell raus, das ist eine Nase. Was kann das für ein Sinn sein? Natürlich der Geruchssinn. Der kleine Putto, der schnuppert an der wunderschönen Rose, genauso wie die Dame, oder der Hund hier an der Wurst schnuppert, die hier unten liegt. Der nächste Sinn ist hier der Schmerz. Ja, der Hund, der beißt in den Fuß. Schauen Sie, wieder am Postament ist das aufgegriffen. Der Krebs zwackt in den Finger. Die verprügeln sich, die beiden. Und der Papagei beißt hier in die Schulter. Und ganz daneben, ganz hinten, haben wir den Hörsinn hier. Dort sehen Sie das Ohr und die Trompete dazu. Dann haben Sie hier die Laute. Eine unglaubliche Handwerkskunst, die hier zum Tragen kommt.
Paul Scheurich war einer der berühmtesten Porzellanmodelleure des frühen 20. Jahrhunderts. Er hat für die Meißener Manufaktur die Porzellangestaltung modernisiert und ins 20. Jahrhundert geholt. Und er hatte zum Thema Figurenstaffage, das ist die Bemalung von Figuren, eine ganz besondere Vorstellung, und ich möchte Ihnen dazu etwas zeigen. Dieser tanzende Zwerg sieht ja etwas schmutzig aus. Er hat ganz bekannte Meißener Indischblümchen auf seinem Mantel, und dann sehen Sie so eine dunkle Farbe. Diese dunkle Farbe ist eine Kaltbemalung aus der Hand von Paul Scheurich, und hier hat er festgelegt, wie er die Goldstaffage wollte, also die Goldbemalung. Die Meißner Porzellanmaler sollten es genauso machen, wie er das vorgegeben hat. Und wir sind sehr stolz auf dieses Objekt. Das ist nämlich ein Objekt aus unserem Depot, und er hat sogar signiert. Auf der Unterseite, auf dem Standring, kann man auch die Unterschrift von Scheurich sehen.
Nach Ihrem Besuch in der Schauwerkstatt, im Museum und auch unserem Store laden wir Sie ein, Meißner Porzellan einmal selbst zu erfahren. Kommen Sie mit mir in das Café und treffen Sie Anja Hell, die Geschäftsführerin des Museums, und mich bei einer Tasse Kaffee und einem Stück Kuchen, den Meißner Schwertern.
you enjoyed our lovely video. And yeah, now we are very curious about your questions regarding the Meissen porcelain manufactory and also the Meissen Foundation. And we are very happy to welcome Heather today from Vikings to let us know all your questions.
Thank you so much, Bianca. Our first question for tonight comes from Jerry. He's in Kent in the United States, and he asks, does the porcelain clay come from the Meissen area, and how is it different from other varieties of clay?
So what is very special about our Meissen porcelain or the Meissen porcelain mess is the so-called kaolin. So porcelain is made out of kaolin, feldspar and quartz. And our kaolin comes from our very own mine that is very close to Meissen in a little town called Seilitz. So it's around 15 kilometers away. And this is like very, very special about Meissen porcelain. That is our very own kaolin. And it's very pure actually. So there are no other materials. What makes it or what makes the Meissen porcelain so special at the end. And so white.
Wonderful, thank you. Our next question is from Valerie in St. Louis, and she says, how long did the Saxony statue, the largest in the world, take to make?
So the Saxonia was made by our former chief sculptor Jörg Danielczyk in 2014, and regarding finding the idea how to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Saxon Republic, he came to the idea to make the so-called Saxonia, and from the idea till the final figurine, there was like, I think definitely more than 1 year, 3 years till the figurine was finalized. And actually, the figurine is there are two parts of the figurine. So we have the dress with this 8,000 snowball blossoms, and we have the upper part, because with 1.80 meters tall, and you can imagine that the original figurine was even taller, because Meissen porcelain or porcelain in general shrinks in the firing process around 16%. So it was, the original one was like 2 meters or even taller.
Wonderful, thank you. Our next question is from Layla, and she's in Fayetteville. And she says, how long does it take for an apprentice painter and porcelain thrower to learn the trade before they are able to work alone?
So actually in Meissen we train our porcelain painters on our own, meaning it's an education that takes on 3.5 years, and we get around 70 applications every year, and we only have around 10 to 15 places. So we have we are lucky that so many young people are interested in this special and unique craftsmanship, and they are trained in-house by our porcelain painters. So the first year is actually the drawing school. So we it's all about drawing on paper. So there's no porcelain in the first year at all. So they learn like painting flowers and figurines and animals on paper, learning the different types and all the special things that they need to know. And from the second year onwards, they they learn how to draw on porcelain, and this with our experts around them. And after this 3.5 years, the education is like finished. But if you ask them, and also all our porcelain painters, they will tell you that they never stop to learn, and that around with a knowledge of 10 years, they are like having the actual Meissen standard. So it's a life learning process if you ask them.
Wonderful, thank you. A question now from Lorraine in the United States, and she asks, how many staff are dedicated in the museum to cleaning and maintaining all of these precious pieces?
I'm from the Meissen Porcelain Foundation, and we are the ones who are responsible for the cultural heritage of Meissen porcelain. And we are very, very small because we are only 5 people who work on the subject. So doing research, 2 people in the archives down in the basement, doing a lot of database work, taking pictures, measurements, and taking basic data. And then we have 2 colleagues who, like myself, and also our managing director every now and again, because she's an artistry and she does also the content work. And for cleaning, we cooperate with a special firm, and they come here. I think there are 3 persons, and only for cleaning the pieces in the museum, they take 2 weeks, and we do that in January, because usually in January we don't have so many guests, and then we can close down parts of the museum and take everything out and do the cleaning work. And all in all, in the museum, for the museum and the demonstration workshop, we cooperate with the manufactory, and together we have about 40 persons working, doing the ticket sales, doing reservations, doing tourism marketing, who work in the shop, who work in the cafe, who work, of course, in the demonstration workshop, and that's around 40 persons in all. So yeah.
Wonderful, thank you, Susanne. A question now from Lenny in Orlando, and he says, the collection of porcelain zoo animals in the museum is just incredible. Can you tell us what the strangest item is that Meissen has in its collection?
The strangest item? What is our strangest item? Well, it depends. So I think the porcelain zoo, the menagerie, is not really strange, thinking from the 18th century perspective, because every court in Europe who wanted to be state of the art needed to have, of course, a live zoo. So they had bears and pheasants and Augustus de Strong, as Anja Hell earlier explained in the video, he also wanted to have the porcelain zoo. So from today, you're surprised. From the 18th century perspective, of course, this was part of Augustus de Strong's vision for porcelain. But maybe you can see the large object behind us. This is strange in a positive way as well. It was originally designed in 1748, and it was designed to be on a table for a large festivity, for the name's day of Augustus the Strong's son. So yeah, from that perspective, if you see how big it is, it's higher than 3 meters, and how long it must have taken to design it and then also to produce it, it's quite. Well, it is quite strange that they underwent all this work and all this effort for this festivity for one special day. So maybe it's not only the biggest piece, but also the strangest.
That's incredible. Thank you. Question now comes from Gillian in Burnsville in the United States, and she asks, how has the porcelain manufacturing process changed over the years?
How has it changed? Maybe I can start from this. Before the session, we said she is what's the word? She's the expert on today, and I'm the expert on yesterday. So what one major change was when the Meissen Porcelain Manufactory was founded. It actually was founded in a castle which is just nearby. You can see it from everywhere in Meissen, basically, because it is a castle that is sitting high up on a very picturesque hill. And it was empty at the time the porcelain, the secret of porcelain was discovered in Europe. And Augustus the Strong wanted the manufactory at first to be up there because the secret of the porcelain production could be protected there really, really well, because it was far away, and as you know, castles were built to be well protected. And there's another thing which you also as Viking guests enjoy. There's the River Elbe is flowing right through Meissen. And in the 18th century, the porcelain was fired with wood. So that's a big thing that has changed until today. But back when it was founded and throughout the 18th century, it was really easy to get the wood that was needed for firing on the river to the and then with a type of lift up to the castle. So, and in the 18th century, all basics were founded: how to make the porcelain paste, how to make the glaze, how to make the color. And then you had to find people. Today they can be trained, but before there was no European porcelain production. So you had to find people who were able to give shape to the porcelain and to paint it. And then in the 19th century, there came the industrialization. And from the output, not so many things changed, but behind the scenes, that changed a lot. There were many developments in color chemistry, in how they built their kilns, etc., etc. And the manufacturing became bigger and moved to the site where it is today. So about 150 years, it was up in the castle, in the historic castle, which can be seen until today. And around 150 years, it came here. And also during the 19th century, they swapped from wood to coal when they fired. And then in the 20th century, for instance, the very high firing is done with in gas kilns, and of course putting so much effort and time and energy into the pieces, they don't fire the same way as they did in the 18th century, but they produce the same way. So you still have hand-painted pieces, etc. Mm-hmm. And maybe, now I'm in the 20th century, I move on to pass it on to Bianca.
Yeah, well, I would also say that regarding the craftsmanship, everything stays as it is. But of course, we have technical support when it comes to the oven. So today, when you put the Meissen porcelain into the oven, all the technique, we know exactly the heat of the oven. We know exactly the time, how long it will stay there, and we can fire very, very slowly up and also very, very slowly down. So sometimes large objects stay in the oven like 3 weeks or even longer. And in the past, it was like more experience, how long the kiln had to be fired. But now, due to the new standards, we are able to have that more in control. But of course, when it comes to the producing of the Meissen porcelain and also to the painting and everything that is related to the craftsmanship, it is as it has been 310 years before. So.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much. Our next question is from Wallace. He's in Midland in the United States. And he asks, how many pieces of unique porcelain are turned out every year?
Wow. Die Produktion in Stück.
Well, that's a very good question.
That is a very good question.
I would assume a lot.
It's
I can't say.
That is a very good question.
We never counted.
No, and the thing is, the manufacturing, when there's like a basic, when you go to the shop, of course it's not empty. There's a basic amount of pieces is there, tableware, figurines, etc. But many, especially figurines, are also produced when the customer places the order. Then they are produced for the customer. Mm-hmm. So if you have a year where somebody, let's say, orders a monkey band, that's 23 figurines. But next year, the same person maybe orders vases, yeah. So you can't. Sorry.
I would say our standard range is around 3,500, 4,000 porcelains, but in general we have like an assortment of 250,000 different pieces, and every year there are new ones. So it really depends on what do the customers order, what they want, and also how many new pieces we launch on the market.
But there's actually, speaking of numbers, there's good news to the Viking guests and all other guests in the museum, because when you come into the museum, the basement, not the basement, the ground floor is a shopping area. But if a customer says, I would like to have this, but maybe you have, I don't know, you like the onion pattern, and this is very pale, and you want a bit darker blue, so from a different painter who paints a little bit darker, then the shop assistants go to the stock room and fetch the things. So but that's nothing about the annual production. It's just it's very comfortable, because the producing areas are behind and the stock room is really close, so it's no thing like come back in 2 weeks and I placed an order, but they can just go there and fetch things. So
but in general, I would add that, of course, due to the fact that everything is handmade, you can like customize everything. So this is really like, if you see something in the museum you like, of course we can recreate it for you. That is also the fact with our 700,000 plaster molds. So we are able to recreate this more than 310 years of history, what makes Meissen porcelain, in my opinion, very unique.
And while we are at it, I really wanted to tell you a specialty about our collection. Maybe museums throughout the world, but we are a special museum because we do not only give loans to other museums to make exhibitions, we also on a regular basis give loans to the colleagues in the painting studios, or also in the figurine creation workshops, because when something is ordered, the craftsmen need a model. So they for instance, the painter, if he wants to paint the putto you saw in the video, he needs a model to work to see what the artist originally wanted to express. So there's the porcelain painter looking at the model, and so on a weekly basis, basically, the colleagues come to our collection and say, okay, we are producing, for instance, this Puto figurine, and then we have this special type of loan, which is also unique for a museum normally.
Yeah, and that's so great that we are so close and can work so close together. So you just open the door and then there you are.
Yeah, exactly.
That's wonderful. Thank you both. A question here from John in Canada, and he asks, what is the oldest mold in the collection?
Oh,
yeah,
that's very good. That's yours. No, in the collection, for me, the oldest mold. But
you can also say from the manufactory and
yes,
also from the foundation, maybe.
Well, our oldest piece go back to the early 18th century. And since the collection you have here is based on what I just explained about the models being on loan or being used by the colleagues, we also have figurines that were originally designed in the 18th century but made later. And since we are a museum and also, have to have an educational issue, all our pieces have 2 dates. So you can see when was the model made and when was the pieces made. But the oldest pieces are from the early 18th century.
Mm-hmm. And regarding the manufactory, I can add that we have our oldest plaster mold from 1739. That is an apostle, and I don't know which the oldest existing figurine might be.
In human, well, I don't know. Our oldest piece is a bowl. Actually, it's not a figurine, but that's due to the fact that when they started producing the first, well, actually also trial and error pieces usually were what was like tableware, cups, or like after Chinese pieces from the collection of Augustus the Strong. So he had these Chinese cups without the handles, the small teacups, and they were inspiration for the first trials. So they didn't the very early pieces are vessels rather than figurines.
Yeah, so
that's fantastic. 2 questions here now. We have John in Cedar Rapids, and he asks, do you examine the finished product to ensure it meets your quality standards? And then Marilyn in Bloomington asks, what happens to pieces that don't pass the final examination?
Yeah, very good question. So yeah, of course there's a final examination. So we have, of course, these high quality standards, and they need to be achieved. So we have experts and special colleagues who check every porcelain, and if one porcelain might not be 100% perfect, what actually means that if you're not a specialized painter or a specialized expert, you won't see. So this is actually then quality. We have quality 1, what is perfect, and then we have quality 2, and we also sell it in our outlet here in the Meissen manufactory, but there are so tiny mistakes. I can assure you you won't see it, and to be honest, I don't see it either.
Yeah, sometimes we don't see it. Yeah. We're like, okay, but the manufacturer is very fair. They make a mark. You know, the cross swords, and they are on every product in underglaze blue. And when a piece is being observed in the quality check and downgraded to a second, then there's a cut in the glazing beneath the swords. So when you turn it round, you can see it. So it's also when the piece leaves the manufactory, it's made sure that it's recognizable as.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Related to that, we have Julie here in the United States, and she says, I have a dish marked Meissen, but without the cross swords. Is it likely to be an imposter?
Does it say Meissen as a written? Does it write Meissen? Does it say well, the thing is, without seeing it's difficult to say, but there especially in the 19th century, many different porcelain producers opened up in the area. So and some of them tried to try to make money from the good name of Meissen, which points to the Meissen manufactory. But since it was the town, they wrote MEISSEN underneath. But that wasn't produced here in here. That's one answer to the question. And the other one is, in the 18th century, this year our trademark, the manufacturing trademark will be 300 years at the end of the year. And
big anniversary.
Yes, exactly. But the quality control in the 18th century wasn't as strict. So at the end of the year 1722, a man suggested, Samuel Stölzel, his name was, to make a trademark, to take something out of the electoral arms of Saxony, which are the crossed swords. In the electoral arms, they are in red, but on the porcelain, they come in blue because they didn't have a red color back then. But especially during the first time after this suggestion, many pieces left the manufactory without, because there was such strict quality control. And there were quite a few letters necessary from Augustus the Strong to the manufactory saying, could you please mark every piece? So what I'm trying to say is that sometimes very early Meissen pieces don't have a mark, but they are Meissen.
Yeah, this would be like, some pieces,
But I'm happy also if somebody wants to send a photo, I'm happy to take a look and then say a bit more.
Yeah, this would also always be the best,
yes.
To send in some pictures, and we are happy to help.
That's so kind, thank you. A question now from Lorraine in Austin in the United States, and she says, is there a concern with forgeries now in the art world?
Concern with forgeries. It has been ever since 1718, I have to say. No, really there is, because it's such a precious good, and it's sold for such high prices. There are quite a bit of forgeries around, but it actually did start in the 18th century, and it became such a big issue in the 19th century, the forgeries, that for the most popular pattern of the 19th century, the manufacturer even included the crossed blue swords on the front. So until today, when you have the blue onion pattern, when you go to the shop, you see the crossed swords not only at the back of the plate or the object, but also within the pattern. And I don't know about numbers.
Yeah, well, I don't know either, but it's still an issue, of course.
Yeah.
Thank you. A question now here from Faith in New York, and she asks, does Meissen ever make Christmas decorations?
Christmas decoration. Christmas is actually one of our most important seasons in the year. So we have a lot of Christmas decoration, like Christmas for the Christmas tree, for example, and we also have some patterns related to Christmas. So when it comes to Christmas, everything here in the House of Meissen is like very Christmas-like, including the porcelain.
And actually quite a range, I have to say. So from very traditional patterns on the balls that you can hang on your Christmas tree, or like do you say cone, pine cone? Is it a pine cone? I'm not sure about the word, but what normally grows on a Christmas tree is also available in porcelain, and stars and things like that, and also different type of tableware, ranging from very classic, and also like the Holy Family in figurine, for instance. There's a very beautiful edition by Jörg Danielczyk as well, who will this year turn 70.
Yeah.
So he is officially retired, but we will have a little show on about him in June, and he also designed Holy Family for Christmas.
Yeah, so I would say it's a wide range. So in white porcelain, because we see that a lot of people like the plain white, shiny Meissen porcelain. Also bisque porcelain, so non-glazed porcelain, is very famous, or becomes very famous in the last 2-3 years, I would say. And of course also the painted like tableware or Christmas bubbles. Check the online shop. You will see we have our Christmas range all over the year, because actually there are a lot of people buying Christmas decoration, Easter decoration all year long. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. A question now here from Don. He's in Portland in the United States, and he says, we visited the Meissen manufactory in the year 2000.
Oh.
Has anything changed since then?
Yes.
It looks different, but we loved our visit.
Yeah, a lot. So it's actually worth a visit, especially when you were here before, because behind you can see something that looks has the shape of window, like the violet 3 arches there. And when you were here in the year 2000, then you could actually look out of the window. But today there's an entire new part of the building behind. So we have modernized a lot with very basic things like a big, what do you say, a big cloakroom, things like that, like things for efficiency. But we
welcome shop.
What else? And of course, back then you had to walk up the stairs, but now we are very happy that everybody can use the lift here as well, and it doesn't need to walk all the staircases. But we also have a beautiful cafe, etc. So I think that's a very big change. And then we have a very big change also in the exhibition. You can see the porcelain from the 18th, 19th and 20th century, but also we thought it would be really interesting for our guests to have some topics. So I'm looking at Meissen porcelain and religion, and on the other side is Meissen porcelain and in world exhibitions like Chicago or London or Paris or wherever they were, like very opulent, beautiful pieces. All, of course, tableware as a theme. What else? Politics. Very interesting. Meissen porcelain and politics is also a 300-year-old story, actually. So until today, German chancellors actually give away Meissen porcelain as a, was sagt man, diplomatic gift, and they Saxon kings have done it before. Yeah, and also the demonstration workshop, of course, the shops.
Yeah, so we just made our workshop like brand new. So even if you have been here 2 or 3 years ago, it will look now definitely different than before. And also our shop, we renovated in 2020. So actually there are a lot of new things to discover when you come here.
So when you come over, tell us what you think. We're curious.
Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. A historical question now. This is from Sam in Douglaston in New York. And he says, what happened to Meissen Porcelain Factory during World War II? Was it repurposed for different manufacturing?
Yes and no. During World War II, Meissen had a big problem because so many of the workers had to, what's the word when you have to go to war? They were at war. They were drafted, that's it. That's what you say. They were drafted as soldiers. So parts of the wartime production was down entirely. And there were also a few bits of production for armory industry, for Rüstungsindustrie. I have to admit that I don't know what exactly they produced, but small pieces made of porcelain or of ceramics, obviously. I would have to go into more research there. Actually, what is interesting is that there's no that there are not the files in the archive, in the manufacturing archives. They are not fully there. So things vanished over the years. So people looking into that will have to dig deep down because apparently some of the files were taken away or what's the word, shredded back then.
Destroyed, yeah.
Thank you. A question here from Jerry in the United States, and he asks, what is the most expensive piece that Meissen has ever produced?
Most expensive. Well, from the current ones, I would say like the Curator vase, but it's definitely not the most expensive piece. This was around 390,000 euros, but I think there's also, well, we made a whole new Swan series table.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, like a plate de ménage, or like as a big centerpiece from that was originally designed in the late 30s, early 40s. But it's lost, and only in the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam there's only the base still there, but the rest of it is vanished. And it was an 8-year process of the manufactory, digging down in the mold archive, looking at old pictures, etc., etc. And last year it came out. Is that correct? Last year it was
2020.
2020. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we are 20. Sorry, we are 20.
Yeah. And
it was introduced. Yeah.
And what is very special about that piece is that it has all that history, what comes with Meissen. So it's the Swan series originally from 1737. And as Susanne said, we had to research everything like 8 years from all the different departments, because we only had some pictures and the base. And so I would say this is the most expensive piece right now, with like 590,000 euros. But I'm not quite sure if this is really like the most expensive piece Meissen ever produced in 310 years. But from today's perspective, it is. Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. And a question here from Cindy. She's in Redwood City in the United States, and she asks, is it possible to buy any Meissen porcelain in the United States? Are there any shops that sell it?
Yeah, definitely. I would need to ask our sales team, to be honest, what would be our contact in the US, but I know that it is possible. And you also can check our website. I'm quite sure that it is mentioned there.
Wonderful, thank you. Well, I think that's nearly all the questions we've got time for tonight. We do have one nice comment here from Barbara. She's in Florida, and she says, I have bought 2 beautiful serving pieces last time we came to visit. but she's too afraid to use them.
Oh,
So Lily's using them in her china cabinet.
Oh, you have to take them out of the cupboards and use them.
That's so important, and this is what we tell all our guests. Just, to use Meissen porcelain to like experience it and
have your morning coffee from it. It's just the perfect start in the day.
It will make the difference.
It will make the difference. Yes.
That's wonderful. Thank you both so much for your time and for answering so many of our questions.
Oh yeah,
you're welcome.
Can we say a big thank you to the Viking audience? That we enjoyed it a lot. I hope you noticed it, and it's so great that from so far away you have such a great interest in Meissen porcelain, and of course we hope.
Of course, we hope that we will see each other soon here in Meissen, and we would be honored to have you here and show you all our workshop, our store, our coffee shop, the museum, of course, and there's so much to discover. So hope to see you soon.
Yep.